Hi guys, this is Tim from Sports Gaming World HD, and today I'm bringing you a bit of a football discussion. Not really got a name for this series yet, just going to be doing a couple of random videos here and there. And today I want to talk about QPR and Mark Hughes, and the media and the betting companies, etc., doing the odds on him being sacked, etc. The media hyping it up, saying he's going to be sacked, and all this sort of stuff. And I also want to talk about whether I think he should be sacked. I'll tell you my opinion, and my opinion now is no, he shouldn't. I do not think Mark Hughes should be sacked, and I've got a few reasons for this. Well, the facts are that their results so far in the Premier League they lost 5-0 to Swansea at home on the opening day. They drew 1-1 with Norwich away from home. They then lost to Man City 3-1. Then drew with Chelsea at home 0-0. Then went away to Tottenham and lost 2-1, lost 2-1 at home to West Ham, and lost 3-2 to West Brom. So they've lost 3 away games and 2 home games so far. However, I think you've got to look at the games they've played, and the teams that they've played so far, i.e. Man City, Chelsea and Tottenham, 3 bigger teams than QPR. So you'd expect them to not get anything from that, and they managed to come away with a point against Chelsea in a game that was hyped around controversy with the whole Anton Ferdinand, John Terry handshake scenario, whatever. It was around all that, so it was controversy, and they still managed to get the point against Chelsea, the team that won the Champions League last season. That is a good result for QPR. Okay, they lost 5-0 to Swansea, that's unacceptable. That was the opening day of the season though. But well, after a summer where they've bought a whole new team of players, more or less. Practically brought a whole new team, spent a lot of money, as it's well documented in the media. They have spent a lot of money on their squad, brought in a lot of good players. However, I would say they've brought in a lot of players who are at the end of their shelf life, i.e. last season they brought in Dribble Cisse. He's at the end of his shelf life, he's not a young lad anymore. Andy Johnson, not young. Bobby Zamora, not young. These guys are coming right to the end of their shelf life, and they've brought them in for experience, yes, but all of them have Premier League experience, you could say, but they're not exactly superstars anymore, or never. Some of them never were, but they're not the superstar power that the media are trying to hype up that they've brought in. Okay, yes, they've brought in, we can look at their squad. They've brought in, this is the updated squad, they've brought in the likes of Jose Boswinger from Chelsea. He's 28 years old. That's not a young player anymore. Chelsea got rid of him for a reason, because he was aging, and they're looking to rebuild their squad, and they think they can get someone younger who is better than him. So QPR have bought him, and it's almost like he's I think this will be his last chance in the Premier League. So he's a good player, yes, but he's not a young player in his prime, shall we say. And then they brought in the likes of Stefan Ambia, very good defender. But I would argue that he's not played in the Premier League before. I think I'm right in saying that. Let's go on history. Yeah, never played in the Premier League before. So, and he's played in the French League, which is a completely different ball game to the Premier League. The Premier League is known for being much quicker. It's going to take time for him to adjust to that. They've brought in the likes of Park Ji-sung from Manchester United. Old player again, not young. He's at the end. He's not in his prime anymore, so it's understandable for him to have the odd bad game. They brought in Esteban Granero, very good player from Real Madrid. However, again, if we go on his history, never played in the Premier League, never been in this Premier League, and at Real Madrid, he's not a he wasn't a Galactico, he wasn't a superstar player who played every game, you know, was a guarantee first name on the sheet, etc. So he's probably going to come into. He probably came into the club lacking match sharpness. Okay, he was bought in the summer. Yes, obviously every player's lacking match sharpness, but still, never played in the Premier League. Got to take time to adjust to that scenario, or to the league. They brought in Junior Hoilett from a relegated Blackburn. Junior Hoilett, good player, still, he's the complete contrast to some of the other signings. He's much younger, but again, he was bought from a squad that got relegated, and they brought him because of his potential, and because of his ability now. Yes, he's a very good player, I think, but because of his potential to become an even better player. That's why they bought him. So to expect him to be, set the world alight now is not realistic, if you think about it. And of course, the superstar they brought in Julio Cesar, never played in the Premier League. He's going to take time to adjust to the pace of the Premier League and to strikers. There's a lot more chances on goal for strikers in the Premier League than there is, say, in Serie A, which means that he's going to be a lot busier. So he's got to take time. He's got to get his concentration right. Yes, he's a superstar goalkeeper, won the Champions League, won numerous titles with Inter Milan, etc. International. So he should, you could argue, should be able to just, switch on and just do it and just become, a best goalkeeper in the Premier League, etc. But it's not realistic. He's never played in the Premier League before. He's got to take time to adjust to that. Another player they brought in was the likes of Fabio on loan from Manchester United. Young left back who Man United have sent to QPR to get first team experience because they don't think he's experienced enough and therefore developed enough in the Premier League for them to trust him at left back. So that's why they brought him in. Again, not a player you can expect to be a superstar at the moment. Now, then you could say, yes, Mark Hughes has brought in players who aren't good enough to play in the Premier League. Well, he hasn't. He's brought in experience because he's brought in young players as well. So you can't just have a squad one or the other. You've got to have young and old. So he's brought in young players who've got potential, i.e. Junior Hoylett and Fabio on loan. And then he's gone and got experience because he needs somebody to dig in and lead the way, so to speak. But these players haven't performed because they're past their prime. So it's understandable that they're not performing, shall we say. Should Mark Hughes be sacked though for that? No, because they're only 7 games into the season. 7 games after a summer of bringing in a hell of a lot of players on various different stages of their careers, brought in a hell of a lot of players. This squad is going to need time to gel. The players who've never played in the Premier League are going to need time to settle. The young players are going to need time to get confidence, and the old players you can expect will have good and bad days. Okay, yes, they're Premier League footballers, therefore they should be good all the time, you could argue, and I understand that opinion, but they are going to have bad days. They are human beings after all. So to say that Mark Hughes has brought in terrible players is wrong, because he hasn't. He's brought in players. You can understand why he brought in the players he's brought in. They've just not delivered for various reasons, as I've discussed. But to say that he should be sacked, I think, in my opinion, is wrong, because if you sack him, who do you bring in? Do you bring in Harry Redknapp, you could say, or Rafa Benitez, for example? But what happens if you bring these people in? They're going to want to bring their own players in. They'll want to bring in their own style to the team, so to speak, which means you're going to have to bring in a hell of a lot more players. Because if just say you brought Harry Redknapp in, he didn't buy Esteban Garnero. He might not like Esteban Garnero, so he might want to bring in his own players, which means the squad's going to take time to gel again, which means you're back at square one. So you've gained nothing from sacking Mark Hughes, other than losing a hell of a lot of money, having to pay out a huge compensation fee. But that's irrelevant. That's up to the owner. So to say that it's the grass. The saying is obviously the grass isn't always green on the other side. I guess is true in many respects to this scenario. So, and then the media. What gets me is the media lapping it up, saying that he should be sacked and the race to be sacked, all this sort of stuff. You see it all the time in the papers and whatnot. Mark Hughes under pressure and all this stuff. They're just doing it obviously because they want to sell papers. That sells papers. But for people to believe it, to jump on the bandwagon is wrong. In my opinion, it's wrong because he is going to take time to get this squad to gel, to find this team he's brought in style of play. After they've gelled, they're going to have to find their style of play. For example, Chelsea, last season their style was much more rigid and defensive. This season they've changed their style after bringing a hell of a lot of world-class players to a more attacking style. This team is going to have to find its own style, its QPR style of play. So that's going to take time. So how long do you leave it then? You could argue. Do you leave it till Christmas? If you leave it till Christmas and then you sack him, just say you sack him in December, mid-December, bring in Rafa Benitez or Redknapp or whoever they go for, that means they've got the January window to bring their own players in. That's got its positives and its negatives. Obviously, if you bring too many players in January, it can disrupt the harmony of the squad, which means you can have an even worse time after January. But then it's also a positive because it does give them, the new manager, the chance to bring their own players in and put their own stamp on the team. But I think, in my opinion, the positives are outweighed by the negatives of sacking him. I wouldn't sack him. Obviously, if they are still bottom of the league, as they are at the moment, they are bottom of the league on 2 points with a -10 goal difference. However, Reading are on 3 points and they are outside the relegation zone, and Wigan are even higher on 5 points. So, but however, they do have better goal differences. But it just shows it's not, crisis times for QPR at the moment. So what are you guys' thoughts? Do you think Mark Hughes should be sacked? Is there any QPR fans? Do you like the style of play that he's got the team playing so far? I've seen a couple of games of QPR on TV so far this season, and they've not looked too bad to me. They've looked like a team who lack understanding, which is to be expected, obviously new players, but they've not looked completely hopeless. Okay, maybe against Swansea they might have been completely hopeless to lose 5-0, but Swansea are a decent team. But the game's coming up. I mean, they're not going to have to face Man City, Chelsea or Tottenham, 3 bigger teams, for a while yet. I don't actually know the fixtures list off by heart, but I can't imagine they'd have to face them soon. So they must have to face teams who are QPR's level, i.e. Sunderland, Everton maybe. Who else could you say? Southampton. Teams like who else? Fulham. These sort of teams. These teams that they should be able to get results against, and that way they'll move up the table. So, conclusion, my opinion, sacking Mark Hughes is wrong. I wouldn't do that. But give me your guys' opinion. What do you think? Should Mark Hughes be sacked? Do you think the signings he's brought in are wrong for the Premier League because they are too old, too young, or whatever? Yeah, just give me your opinions. I mean, I'm going to be doing different types of football discussions. I mean, I'm planning on doing a review of El Clasico, which is tonight because I'm recording this on Sunday, and I'll probably upload it in a minute. But I'm going to do a review on Monday the 8th of October. I'll probably do a Monday review of El Clasico and let you guys know what I think on that. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of a show, as it always is between Manchester United, Barcelona and Real Madrid. So yeah, I'll probably do a review on that, and I might even, if that goes down well, I might do a review of the Milan derby, which is again tonight, and the French Classico, or whatever they call it, between Marseille and PSG. I can watch all 3. Obviously not at the same time, but after each other. I can watch them and I'll do a review on that or something like that, and I'll just bring in other different types of Premier League discussions or football discussions or whatever. So if you guys like this video, just give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see some more of that. Be sure to tune into the Classico review. I'm sure there'll be some controversial opinions in that. And obviously make sure you follow my Gloucester City Blue Square North to the Premiership Series Challenge Series. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next time.